Just going to turn on the recording. Recording on this computer. Okay, great. I'm just going to do a quick mic test with Troy, and then we can get started. So, where are you, brother? Here we go. All right, Troy, I think you need to unmute yourself. Yep. Can't hear you. Can you try and talk again? Nothing? Give me 1 second.
Fucking microphone.
Yeah, I can hear you, dude. I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Hello?
Yeah, you there?
Yeah, sweet, that's way. Yeah.
Okay, good. Will these slides be available, or do you need to take notes? Yeah, probably take notes on these ones. I won't be posting these slides up. I'm trying to work out how I can get the chat box up so I can see when people are asking questions while I'm sharing my screen. That would be pretty handy. All right, well, let's get started. Thanks, everybody, for joining us tonight. We've got a fair few people on the call. And, yeah, we just want to take you guys through a bit of content. The market's really starting to pick up at the moment. Things are starting to look pretty exciting. Generally, cryptocurrency in general and most markets have the biggest quarter for the year is usually Q4. And obviously, October is the start of that. We're almost halfway through October now as well. We're starting to get a little bit more bullish action back into Bitcoin, and especially into some of the altcoins. They've been making some really nice moves, which I'll admit defeat on that one, and pass the buck over to Troy to take you guys through a little bit of altcoin analysis, because he did call them really early, and me and Ali were basically giving him shit non-stop, saying that Bitcoin was still dominant, still in charge, and we didn't really give him much love on the altcoin calls, but definitely won that round. So I'll admit defeat on that. And yeah, altcoins have been looking good. They're moving across the trading ranges at the moment, and we could see some really nice rallies. So we want to make sure you guys are all in a good position to be able to identify when to get into alts, when to get out of them. And so, we don't get a similar situation to what we had at the start of this year, where altcoins went into trading ranges, broke out, a lot of them pumped like 80, 100% and stuff like that. And then Bitcoin took off on a really strong rally again, and they just got nuked into really big negative ranges, and people lost a lot of money. So we want to try and help make sure you guys don't get into bad positions like that, just by giving you a little bit of education about some things to look for. And yeah, we're going to go over just a little bit of market analysis. We're going to go a couple of little education pieces as well, and then just discuss what we're going through over the next 6 weeks as well with the course. So basically a little bit of touch on me. A lot of you guys have met me before, but if you haven't, I've got a bachelor's degree in finance and economics. I studied almost 12 years ago now. Geez, I'm getting old. But yeah, basically started implementing a lot of the principles I learned at university, and yeah, brought them across into obviously cryptocurrencies and other trading as well, on FX and stuff like that. But yeah, I really found a love for the cryptocurrency market. Found it a little bit easier to trade, especially in 2017. It was a lot more profitable than foreign exchange trading, that's for sure. Maybe not so much for some people in 2018. Depends on trading the market. But yeah, the way I got started in educating is basically a lot of my friends kept on asking me about charting and how to learn how to trade and everything like that. And I actually had people coming up to my house, especially in 2017, in mass numbers. It was starting to get a little bit frustrating. They didn't get any peace and quiet. So I started a Facebook group, told everybody we were going to go meet down at one of my friend's offices, and I ran a little course. And yeah, you know, we had a whole heap of people rock up to that. And one of the people that came to that course actually said to me that I should turn it into an online course, and I teamed up with him, and that's how we started Altcoin Mastery. And then yeah, basically teamed up with Troy. We've been trading partners for the last year or so, pretty much, and we've been traveling around Australia, taking everybody through, you know, the course, the 2-day boot camp all around Australia. We did Perth, Melbourne, Sydney. We didn't do Adelaide, unfortunately. We did Brisbane as well. So maybe we'll get around to you guys in Adelaide another time. I know a few of you are asking for us to come out. But yeah, we'll see what happens in the next round. And then obviously we went to Bali, and yeah, that was an unbelievable trip. Everybody came, we had so much fun. And you know, we've seen the people that did come and do the course, so many of them have started trading really well, and we've seen such great strides with all the students that, you know, a lot of people are saying, oh, you know, altcoins have been down, we haven't been making up the market. How can we afford to pay 5K to come to Bali, or pay $1,000 to come to you know, to a 2-day boot camp or something like that. So me and Troy wanted to do something that anybody could come into, and we made the price super cheap for the course. So yeah, that's why we're launching the webinars. We want to, you know, give it a little bit of a taste to you guys over the next couple of nights. We're going to do a couple of webinars to show you guys a little bit of a teaser of what we're going to be going through. So yeah, that's pretty much my story. I'll let Troy introduce himself, because he's got a pretty amazing story, a little bit more interesting than mine, I might say so myself.
Yeah, guys. Can you all hear me? I'm assuming you can hear me. Kyle, confirm?
Yep.
Sweet. All right, guys. I started in July 2017. Pretty much got into it by doing a good deed for someone. Repaired a computer of his. Some of you guys may know him as Dutchy. And in return for repairing the computer, he taught me the basics to cryptocurrency. Pretty much just showed me the coin market cap site, and I took it from there. Completely self-taught, never paid for a course, never did anything like that. But I went down the rabbit hole, something chronic, and neglected my entire life until I knew what I was doing. I went full-time trading by September. It was only a couple of months of training myself, learning. And then yeah, went full-time in September, and then the Chinese bear market hit, and the FUD came out saying I'm trying to ban Bitcoin now. Just after I quit my job, so that was pretty shocking, I guess, which made me have to learn hard and fast of exactly how this market worked, and that's exactly what I did. I got quite lucky with Neo. I actually brought that at $2 before the big run, and got out at around the $80 mark. So turned about $800 into $32,000 in just over 3 weeks, and I've just been snowballing then. Old season in 2017, that was amazing for us. Anyone who was in the Discord of Crypto for Blokes back then, we all made quite a bit. Fantastic gains. And then I even got the top, luckily. I have that claim to fame. Told everyone to the hour, pretty much, that the CME opening their doors would crash the market. And that's exactly what happened. And then I even got the bottom as well, with that chart that everyone's probably seen, with the emotional market structure cycle, that I published and shared around everywhere. So because I'm full-time and got my 6 screens and forever in this little rabbit hole of crypto, I seem to make a few good decisions. Yeah, that's pretty much my little story getting into crypto. Met Kyle last year when he hosted just a random get-together for the Crypto for Blokes boys. It wasn't a paid event, there was no shilling, but he offered his restaurant at the time, pretty good deed, and then turned out he was a good person as well. Yeah, so we've been trading partners since, and trying to get education out to the masses at affordable prices. Seen some competitors pretty steep, so try and do it for the people instead, and fill our own pockets. Yeah, that's why we've got this cheap webinar for you guys, or the one that's coming, but this one's free. Sorry.
Awesome, man. I love your story. It's pretty fucking epic. So yeah, basically, guys, I'm going to get into a little bit of material now. Not sure how you're made to write on the screen, but that's pretty funny that you can do that. But yeah, anyway, So I'm going to take you guys through a little bit of content right now on my favorite topic, which is key horizontal levels and order blocks, right? And what we're going to be looking at is identifying those key levels, how to use those levels for to set up an actual trade. We're going to look at support and resistance flips. We're going to look at one of my favorite trading strategies, which is for pin reversals, star reversals, star tops as well. And we're going to look at also a little quick look at trading swing failure patterns, right? So I think the most important thing, and especially since I showed this to Troy, he's been absolutely in love with it and keeps on raving on about how good it is. That's my claim to fame at the moment. Is actual order blocks, right? And as you can see here, I've got a 1 week bit stamp chart up here about order blocks and how effective they actually are. And so how we do is to find these guys on our chart. We look for our doji reversal patterns. It doesn't always have to be a reversal. Sometimes it can be a continuation, but we're looking for a doji box, right? Like this one here, this one up here is one as well. This is this point here as well, and this sort of bottom three here as well. I mean, you could also say that this is a whole order block here for this whole bracket, but I like to take the bottom of this one, just connect the bottom here to this point here. With order blocks as well, they're sort of like, you know, the combination of like supply and demand zones, just key levels in the market. And usually what they actually are is two key horizontal levels that are quite close to each other. And, you know, we can sort of find them and they get defined by the range of this area in here, right? So let's jump across the chart and I'll give you a quick look. Here we go. So we need to go to have a quick look at Bitstamp, and I've already got pretty much all of these drawn in, but I'll turn them off and I'll draw them in again so I can give you guys a quick look at how we do these bad boys. All right, who is drawing all over my screen? I want to know how you have the power to do that, because we need to disable that for when we're in the proper course. So first thing, God damn it, someone's hacking it. Just don't send my 2FA out, bro. All right, so first thing we want to do is we want to go to our weekly time frame, and then we're just looking for these key sort of sideways pattern areas, which are defined usually by a doji candle. And usually that area becomes a really strong area of support and resistance. So when we're actually looking at that, so for example, this point here, right, we just take that one, the doji here, it actually gets tagged by this level here, right? So that's a really key level of support and resistance, and then we just drag that across. Troy actually came up with a nice little hack on this one. You can right click on it, go to settings, and just go to coordinates number 2. Just make that 500, and then it'll pretty much max it across your screen, right? Might make this a little bit brighter so you guys can see. Right, make this a little bit too much. Right, and then so we just sort of draw out our little box like this. Right, and then so what we want to be looking at when we're coming into this area, usually there's going to be an area of support and resistance, right? Right, so this is obviously another really key important one, which actually formed the top for our consolidation range, right? And obviously this level here to this point here, and we drag that across, and that actually formed the bottom, so we can see that through this area here. Right, so the best way to explain this is when we're looking at it like this, right? And obviously Bitcoin is going this massive parabolic run. When this finally starts to reverse and come back down, what's the key area that we're going to be looking for, right? There's no red candles except for this one red candle and a sea of green candles, right? So that's going to be the first area where we look for price to reverse. And you know, just looking at it like this, and you're going to see that it'll come down and will bounce right off the bottom of this level, right? Let's just see how that plays out. And then it does that multiple times over and over and over for the rest of the bear market, right? Until eventually that level breaks down. So the same thing happens on lower time frames as well. So just go and look at the daily, right? So we had a really similar setup, and this is how I used this for a trade not too long ago, or actually it was a couple of months ago now, but this is a very similar sort of setup, big blow off, top up, you know, there's one red candle and a sea of green candles, right? So where's the most logical place that this is going to come back to, right? So, if you're selling up here, the smart idea when you're selling a big blow off top like this, you just go, or what I do is I go and I put my first order down in this red candle zone, right? So then I go and just put, so any sells that I sell up here, right? I'm just going like this, and I'm just going to put my next order along to this level somewhere, right? Let's watch and see how this plays out, right? It gets front run here pretty aggressively, doesn't come down into it, and then a couple of weeks later, it comes down, we get a perfect tag right off the bottom of this level here, exactly the same way that we got off our weekly level in 2018. So this is one way that you can use order blocks to find entries, right? And generally you'll find is they are the most, especially the weekly ones, they're the most important levels in the chart. And generally price will always react around it. On lower time frames, what generally happens is price will come into a level like this, might get a little bit of a flag underneath it, and it will pump on top of it, and then just confirm the support, and then rally on again. Right? We saw that happen a lot in our run up, actually, through all of these levels. Right, I'll go draw them in again, so you can watch me do it one more time. Right, so like this, for example, this guy through here, this guy through here. And this guy up here, right? And so another little hack as well that you can use if you're having trouble picking these key sort of areas out, is you can actually just flick this over to the line chart as well, and you'll see that you have these little opens and closes, and you'll have these little bumps in, it'll make a little low and a high, quite close to each other. There's little indecision areas in the market. We might take a low here and take a top here, right? And you can make those, right? So this point here, and that point there, right? And we're looking for those levels of congruence where price is running into, right? So yeah, this obviously also helped us pick this level up here, right? Which is the top of the bull run that we had in June. So I thought once we got through this level here, it was going to pump to around that 11.6, and I couldn't believe it went through that 11.6 area. And I was like, well, once it's through here, it's just going to run all the way up to here. And then, I took about half of my position, my spot coins off the market at that point. And yeah, that was one of the best trades I had for the year. I literally took that trade mainly because of this order block over here. And I thought that would be the next area that people are going to be looking to get short because we couldn't hold the price back down here. And then I was basically looking for price to come back down and close underneath this level. And then, as you can see, as we roll out over the next couple of days as well, over the next couple of weeks, we come back up and we tag this level perfectly at this point right here. So when you wick above a key order block like this one, so obviously this one's really important, right? Because there's not that much action above this area here, right? So when we come back up, we tag this level here, so it's a pretty important level here again as well. Right? So the relevance and then also recency is what you're looking for, because this is the most recent really aggressive wick above and then close below, right? Close right on the level as well, almost the perfect millimeter, right? And then it comes back up again, and then we wick above, and then we get another swing failure pattern above it. So this is a really easy short for me because we wick above here, and then looking to get short as soon as we close below there, and then obviously price breaks down shortly after. Right, and then this order block here actually became the support level, and that gave us a whole heap of really nice long entries. Every time it came back down to this order block support area, take a nice easy long out of there. And generally what I wait to look for is on the lower time frames, I'm looking for a pin reversal candle, right? So I'll quickly go and give you guys a quick look at that. And usually on the 4 hour, and then I look for them when they line up with our Nexus indicator, right? Which is the one that Ali created, and it gives us a nice entry signal like this, for example. So when we get these nice green pins on the daily or on the 4 hour, and we get also the entry signal from Nexus. So for example, this one here, right? This is a really nice pin reversal candle right there. The wick break comes down, sort of challenges the bottom of this wick here. It comes into this order block on the daily created by that level there. right, and gets rejected out of it. And then as soon as it gets back above the weekly order block, which is this level here, right, we get on that really nice rally. And this was another one of my probably top trades for the year, and then also this one through here as well. And most of those trades, the key thing I was looking for in that area, the reason why I took those trades was because we were coming back down into the order block. We also got a really nice trade out of this area here because we were super oversold on the 4-hour time frame coming into the order block. So yeah, that was a really nice level to continue to be longing from. Took another one in here again. I think it was possible this one. Obviously, this one didn't play out, and we got stopped out. But you know, you take a trade 3-4 times in a row, eventually you're going to get one that goes against you. And then yeah, took another one down here on lower time frames, which is sort of based off a different level, which I'll show you on my main chart. If it will pop up. So this is my main chart with all the key levels drawn in. All right, and so this is how I'm looking at the market and what I'm looking for. So basically down here, we had this daily entry over here, right? We had a 2-day entry on this pin reversal candle here, which was pretty nice. And price basically after that one closed, obviously we had a really nice little pump there. We just had another 2-day candle open, so we'll see how that reacts now. But obviously, you know, if you guys have been watching my other previous videos, what I'm looking for now is price to break above this level on the weekly and close above the 800 level and get above this level here and then take off. I think once we get above this 9.5 level, that's when the bull market will continue, or we'll get quite aggressive into this level here, that 11.5 area pretty quickly, and then go on to challenge the highs of this 14K order block as well. Right, another thing which is pretty important to note as well using order blocks is if we go and we have a look at the 2-week order block. Yeah, 2-week range up. Sorry, it's actually the 3 weeks. So if we go and we look at these two levels through here, so we've got obviously this doji reversal here, which is actually perfect target for our top, right, that bull run. And then we take this doji here, right, and that gives us pretty much the bottom for all of 2018. So tag there, nice tag there, nice tag there, right? And then obviously this level up here as well. So yeah, it's pretty important. We're sort of fighting for a level at the moment, which is from this area here, right? So it's pretty important for us to get back on top of that area at the moment. So yeah, let's keep moving though, because we don't have a lot of time. So that's basically order blocks 101. And yeah, a few different ways, a few really basic ways that I use those to help set up and plan out my trades. But the main thing I'm usually looking for on these is the weekly time frame, right? The weekly order blocks. And I'm looking for you know, the really clean setups when we get nice other bullish indicators as well, like the daily P reversal into order blocks like this, for example. And then also I use them when the market is moving up, as you can see through here. You know, we've got full flag in here, resistance through here as well. Got quite above. So this level through here is a little bit washed because it didn't play out that consistently, but the market still reacted to it a lot. This was another nice full flag right on the order block as well. So it helps you to just structure the market and understand where the key levels are when you have those drawn in on the chart. So I think it's essential for everyone to have drawn in. Let's keep moving. Next thing we're going to look at, obviously, is just simple support and resistance flips. You know, and I know like people sometimes like, oh, you know, it's just a horizontal level, but you know, the thing that I really want to drill into everybody's heads is basically this is the journey that most traders go on, right? And it starts out, the first thing you learn is horizontal support and resistance. You learn how to look left and learn how to draw in a straight line, but it's not really, you know, it's not really that effective for you. So you start looking for other things because you don't know how to trade based on what price actually is doing around those levels, right? And so, you know, you start looking at things like trend lines, start looking at things like Fibonacci and Ichimoku cloud and Elliott waves, and before you know, you've got 150 different indicators all over your screen, right? And then what happens is we finally come back to horizontal support and resistance at the end, and we go all the way back in a really nice, circular circle of life of a trader, I think it should be called. Right, so we're going to have a quick look at support and resistance flips. And here's a really good example, which is on Bitcoin not too long ago. And if you want to, go on to Trader Daxx on YouTube, and I talk about this in depth. Right, but what we need to be looking for is picking out the key levels. So you can see here how this is a little support and resistance flip here. So obviously it's resistance at this level here. Might just make this a little bit bigger for everyone to see. It's resistance at this level here, right? Wicks above, closes below, and then a red candle finally breaks through, and then it flips into support, right? Then it takes off from there. So that's a nice little indicator at first, right? Then this is a double close through the key level, right? Tag it once there as well. Double close through the level. This is a nice short setup actually. That's something else we're going to go through on how to look at double close levels and how to trade those, because they're usually playing out really nicely, especially for the short side. Came back up, tagged again, rejected again, right? And so that's sort of like a swing failure pattern there again, and then got rejected from here as well. Came up here over the top of this level, right? So we get the breakthrough, and then we get a really aggressive breakdown that smashes through the key level, right? And what we're looking for here is when this comes back up and you get another really nice short entry at the key level through this range, right? So when you break above a level like this and then you break back through it without a retest, so see how there was no bounce off this level here? When we get a bounce off, when we come back to retest that same key level again, usually you have, usually get a little inclination of price, and it starts to move down and it actually reacts to that level again, right? So yeah, then obviously it comes back up again. So this level is quite it's really, really key. In this whole chart, this is the most important level in the chart, right? So when we come back up to this level, it sort of gets stopped by it a little bit and then pushes through straight away, right? So this is now telling me that, okay, this is such an important level. Now it's going to be support. So when it comes back, so if you take profit up here, right, then we've basically said when this was actually live, we're going to put a long order here. Once we see it start to react to that level, it wicks below the level and then comes back up and closes. That is the key time to get into the market. And as we can see, also looking at indication that we're ready to swing high as well on the 4 hour, right? And then it pumps shortly afterwards, right? So yeah, nice little, a couple of really good examples on how to play support and resistance flips. But yeah, these can be a little bit confusing at first, but once you spend a little bit of time going over them and you start to see them, pick them out in the market, they become really profitable and really good to trade. This is more of a forex trading strategy. It works really, really well in Bitcoin. And as our market is developing more and more, it's becoming to be traded more like a commodity rather than just L8 waves, you know, all these really basic sort of patterns, and you're getting more advanced sort of stuff. So I definitely think you want to learn how to trade this sort of stuff moving forward, that is for sure. Right, so basically what we're looking for, this is another example here of our break, pullback, and continuations, right? So we bounce off the level, then we go clean through the level, right? And then when we come back, we sell here, when we come back to retest the level, and then the pattern continues to break down, right? This is a little example of the pins that we were talking about before, and just highlighting them, right? And so when we have our pin reversal candles, when we have our order block there as well, we start to get that really nice congruence that we're looking for in the market. I always say I try to look for at least 3 compelling reasons to take a trade, right? And so, you know, obviously order blocks is a really big one for me, and I'm looking for other reasons, like maybe bullish divergence or something like that. Maybe you know, pin reversal candle or something like that as well on the daily or 4 hour, in combination being a key area of support as well. Right, other things as well to take notice of are shooting star reversal candles, because they're obviously indicating tops, right? So let's go have a quick look at one of those. We had a really nice trade set up not too long ago. I think it was on 4 hour. It was this one back here, right? So we actually got the next sell signal shortly after. I'm just going to take that off. This one is a little bit distracting. So we've got basically this green candle pushes up really quite aggressively, and then we have our spinning top or our doji top with it can either be green or red. Basically, it's indecision or slowing down the momentum into a key level as well, because this is obviously the key diagonal trend line that we're looking at from the tops back here, right? So tag there, tag there, tag there, right? And you have a really nice tag at that level here as well. Wicks out the top of it, closes below it, and basically I went to sleep on that candle there. As soon as this one closed, I went to sleep, woke up in the morning, and took profit down here. So yeah, basically I just saw this, price was just really couldn't break through this level. I wasn't expecting it to break out that easily through here, and I thought, it's probably time to break down. And when I got that pin doji top reversal candle get put in like that, I knew it was probably time for it to have a shooting star reversal pattern get put in and start to pull back. So there's just a couple of things I look for. Obviously, we have the same the downside as well. And then when they're facing the downside, and you have a bullish divergence or something like that with it as well, that's actually called a morning star reversal candle, right? But I'm going to keep moving because I'm running out of time from to go over my section. But here are another couple of examples of sort of failure patterns, right? So the clean level through here, right? And that's the key area in this chart, right? And then when it comes up, we take out that level, big wick above, close below, and it sells off shortly after. The reason why these play out really well like this is because people know exactly where their risk is and where it is defined, right? So here's another example as well. We'll come up wick above, close below, and then the next candle is a really big sell-off candle because everybody sees that, they jump on it, they put the stop loss above here, and they short really hard into this level here. So yeah, here's some examples to the downside, just picking out key levels, right? We're above this level, come back, test again, test again, test again, wicking into liquidity pool, and then price takes off. All right, so I'm running out of time here. I'm going to hand it across to Trader Troy, and he's going to take you guys through some things on moving averages. So you still there, brother?
Yeah, all good. I need to share my screen. Is that how this works now? I assume you can hear me. Sweet. Share. See if that works. Try to bring up the chat for a second. Hold on. Put that on the side down here. I'm only on my laptop, dude. My PC is still in the boat on its way from Australia. Just moved to New Zealand. A little bit hard for me, but we'll get there. You guys can see the screen all good? Start from this one. Sweet, guys. All right, let's get into it. This one here, we're going to start with identifying trend. Really simple, but a lot of people seem to forget it. You got to master the basics, right? And this is one of the main, easiest basics, is knowing your trend. So I'll just, from the bottom left over here, you can see the mouse all clear. We'll just say that's our low. That's the oldest price action we've got to work with. Then that's our high from that point. So this is where we're starting from. We've now got a higher low, so we can see trend is now up. We've got another higher high, higher low, so forth, all the way to the top, right? While that's happening, you can see it's getting more and more parabolic, and the candle sizes are getting larger and larger. When that happens, when that happens, when the candles get quite large like that, you usually know a top is nearly in, all right? And then we can see a high was printed once we had a confirmed high, lower high here. And then you can see we started the downtrend. And then when we got to the bottom after the capitulation period of the blow off top here, we started to make a higher low again, which made a bit of a triangle. There's a lot of TA back then, which was just a basic triangle like this. And then we broke down, bearish retested, carry on, right? Understanding how to identify trend, as simple as this, can save you and make you a lot of money, because you should not buy trend. If you're making lower highs and lower lows like this, you should be looking for shorts, not looking for longs, until a clear bottom is being printed like over here, all right? Don't fight trend, and you'll save a lot of money. Trade with the trend. Cover what Kyle stated with the whale swing pattern, and trade with the whales. Don't fight them. Learn how they trade and make money with them. Much, much easier. Don't fight trend. Move on to the next one. Moving averages, I'll cover these pretty quickly as well. The main ones I use here are the 200, which is my red. I've got the 50, which is my green. The 20 is my blue, and the yellow is my 100. I think these are the major standard moving averages you should use. I think these are played king in all markets, and they're actually one of I think the oldest form of technical analysis, which is a moving average. This is on the weekly time frame. You can see here the 200 MA has acted as support in the previous bear market, and it acted as support here in our current bear market. Because we still haven't made a higher high, so technically we've just made a lower high on the large time frame. So until we break this 20K mark, we are still technically in some form of a bear market, all right? So far it's held, and now we're currently, if you zoom in here, you can have a look at this. You can see that the 100 MA is perfectly caught this Morningstar reversal, and now we're heading back up. Ideally, we want to make at least 50% of this previous candle here, right? We want to make at least get back up to here by Monday close, which would give us a possibility of a Morningstar reversal, which is what Kyle just covered. This is a clean, perfect bounce here of how it works. So you wouldn't trade purely off this. Some people would, but it's just an added level of confluence. So if you have an order block here or fibs here, or you're seeing a bit of a bullish play out here, then just add this as extra confluence. So we go down to the 3-day chart, you can see here as well. Got a bit of a golden cross happening. It's 100 and the 200 MA. The 100 is coming up through the 200 MA. On the 3-day chart, this is a sign of trend changing, which is like exactly what we had back here when the 50 came up through the 100. You can see trend was pretty parabolic at the stage. And then we've got the golden cross here, which is another very bullish sign on the 3-day chart. It doesn't mean that we're going to instantly go to the moon when this happens, but what it means is that trend is changing, and our trend has changed again. If we go back in time, back down here, so this is the previous bear market of the previous market cycle. We had a golden cross here as price had chilled out, right? And then we carried on, and then we had our 2-year run. So we've just had this moment here now, and our chart over here. It doesn't mean that we're going to the moon, guys. It's just meaning that trend has changed on the large time frame of moving averages. We'll go to the daily as well. We can see here. So even though we've had that nice, beautiful squirt today, over the last 2 years, right? You can see here the 20 moving average and the 200 moving average are now acting as resistance. So prices comes flying up to it, and now it's held under it. So until we close over these, if you're trading on moving averages, you should still stay bearish, because you can see it's rejected it once here, fallen. We're here again. If we reject one more time, it's going to be pretty clear that we're bearish, and this would just be a basic bear flag, right? A bear flag is usually when you're in a downtrend, you come down, you make a low, you make a high, you make a higher low, then a higher high, and then you fail to carry trend, and it usually comes down like this, and then you get a bit of a run down, get a bit of a retest and fall. That's a bear flag. Usually ends up looking like a bit of a head and shoulders pattern on the way down. All right. I'll move on from moving averages, but you can just see just how powerful these things are if you know how to use them. So there's a golden cross, which is bullish. I'll just quickly cover the other one. So there's the golden cross is bullish, which we had back here. All right, when we had that, we had our nice 2-year run. We've also got a death cross. So on the 3-day chart here, we've got a death cross that happened. The 50 came down through the 200, and we can see here that price reacted, right? Completely capitulated after this. Doesn't always happen like that. It's just a sign to the guys who use moving averages, which is a lot of big, smart money. Once this trend here was confirmed, and that was at the end of this mean triangle back then, let's quickly draw that in. You can see exactly as that wedged, price got to the point where it had no choice but to break. There's a death cross to go with it. It was clear it was going to break down, right? All right. Cool. Moving on from moving averages. Next, we've got here a little indicator that I'll share with you all, for guys for tuning in. This is a custom one that I've made. You can find it by going to the indicator section and then searching Trader Troy. You'll find it here. It's called Trader Troy's Moon. And then you can apply that to your chart, and it'll end up looking like this, right? The way it works is it's based off a few moving averages and other stuff. Whenever it goes green, it's usually a bit of a buy signal. Gets you some nice clean entries. It doesn't give you too many entries. You can see here, once it goes green, gets you some nice entries, right? This is on the 4 hour. The lower the time frame you go, the more noise there is and the less safe the entries are, because moving averages usually work better on the higher the time frame, right? So it's just gone green again for this little pump we've got here. A bit late though, I would have preferred to have got in here. But if you were trading on the lower time frame, it probably got you in back here. Would have already had your stop loss maybe under the support over here. So you could have carried that entire run on. But to find that, I'll just repeat that again. I'll go back to it just here. The green dot is just when it goes green. It's just a clearer signal on the screen. So just search Trader Troy in your indicators and strategies. It'll come up here. 85 likes at the moment. Anyone who's tuned in can get access to this. All right. Right now, Bitcoin is on a bit of a dump. Just a quick check on that. You can see here how it also went red and price started to come down. Price started to come down a little bit once it goes red. Red is usually mean that the trend is changing to the downside or it's lacking momentum. It doesn't mean short. It is not a short indicator. It's mostly used for long. But if it does go red, you can see here, usually get some pretty nice short entries too. That's not how it was built, right? So just be careful with that. Play around with it. It's made me a fuckload of money. It can make you a lot of money too. You can see here on the daily time frame, it got you one nice clean entry, little one here. You could have had your stop loss under here. You could have been in from this point or been in from this point here and ridden the entire bloody run with a single entry. Nice save. All right. That's free for you guys to grab. Move on to the next sort of chart. This is trend lines. A lot of people know how to draw trend lines, but they actually don't know how to draw trend lines. They're very subjective, and that's why a lot of people have a hard time with them. What I've drawn here is just a simple market structure. This is what we call where are we here? This is a bump and run top, which is also a 5-wave count for Elliott waves, which is your wave 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? That's your top. It's also the bump and run top. Once you break out of this channel, you come out temporarily, fall back in, fall under, and reject. That's exactly what we did over here, exactly the same print. Elliott waves, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's your parabolic top, falls back in, rejects, comes down. Exactly what we did twice. Learning this is key, I think, because this plays out on all time frames every day. The 5-minute time frame, they probably happen multiple times a day. Very, very common market structure pattern. You can see it's just triangles. This is a triangle. This is a triangle. That's another triangle. Very simple stuff. So if you can learn how to identify them and learn how price reacts to them. So we can see on, say, this one here, before this had completely developed, if we go back on the rewind tool to here, at first started to look like a bit of a symmetrical triangle, right? It's got diagonals from both sides. And then once it starts to play out a wee bit, you can see that it then becomes a ascending triangle, because we've now got the 5th touch here, where you can see if we draw that line back in, it's now an ascending triangle. So the symmetrical became an ascending, which then gave us our launch out of this bear market, right? Usually how you draw trend lines, you go from the highest point and use it as a hammer. Assume it's got weight to it and come down until you get to the next candle. For this particular triangle play out, it gave us here, which is also, once we found support, we launched out of it, right? Let's go to the end, close this actually. Cool. And the same thing applies here. So right now we're in a bit of a bearish trend here. We've failed this, which was a symmetrical, which then became a descending, is now technically bearish until we're back above this trend line, right? So it's all good until we're back above this. Sorry, it should be bearish technically until we make a higher high. And then once we get above this particular trend line is what I'd like to see. That's for trend lines pretty much. Order blocks covers the horizontal version of it, but it's simple stuff. You don't need to overthink these trend lines. This is on the log scale. You can see this is from 2017 down here all the way to 2019 here. I'll go back to BTC again and clean chart, and then we've taken log off, and now we're looking at linear. We're going to apply linear. You can see that these trend lines are completely different back here, and if we drew one from the top to this point like we did in the last one, it doesn't actually give us that clean break like it did on the log scale back here. See, when we came through on this same trend line, on the log scale, it gave us a nice clean entry once we turned it into support and got us in that big breakout that happened. We go back to the linear scale, you don't have that luxury, right? Yeah. So that's why I use log scale mostly for trend lines. Even though some people swear against it and all have their own opinions, I don't care for people's opinions. I don't care for how the manual was written. I can see that this trend line here gave us a perfect fucking entry, and that's all I care about. I care about making money in this market, and that was a beautiful long. And anyone who knows or has been following me for the last 2 years know that we beautifully brought the bottom, traded the bottom. This was an alt season through here, and we rode this up. But most people would say trend lines are bullshit or whatever. You wouldn't trade purely alone on this, but you can see that the proof is in the pudding, right? Nice, clean, simple trend line. Anyone can draw this. Price got above, we launched. Simple as that, right? I use log on all time frames. I have found no issues with using log on small time frames at all. Well, I'll go show you an example, for instance. You can use wicks. I can cover wicks and bodies, but if you look at this, this is log, this is linear. Log, linear. There's no real change on the small time frames at all, all right? So don't stress too much, but I use log, Carl uses linear. Find what works for you, because that's how this market works. You got to find what you're comfortable with and what you understand. When it comes to trend lines, yeah, you do. Yeah, I do. Well, it should automatically do it, but if it doesn't, then you do it yourself. So with trend lines, another little tactic to them is drawing them on the larger time frames first. So just going from wick to the highest point. I don't care if it's a body or a wick. Just going to draw it straight through that. All right. This is on a high time frame. We go back on the 4 hour and check that out. On the 4 hour, it's going to look a bit dirty. It's going to cut through them. See this here? So on the 3 day, it looked pretty clean, but on the 4 hour, it looks a bit fucky. So if I screenshot this and I threw this on some social media site, I have a bunch of fucking know-it-alls telling me that this is wrong. I've done my trend line wrong. But in reality, my trend line's from the 3 day time frame, right? This is what I care about. This is how price reacts to the larger time frame. I'm more interested in the larger time frame than I am. So this is why people who think trend lines are subjective have no fucking idea how to use them, all right? I'll carry on. We'll go to, say, the weekly time frame, and I'll just draw a simple trend line again. So starting on the larger time frame, just going from, look at this. All I've done is just trying to find the most points where it's touched. It doesn't have to be tips, doesn't have to be wicks. I don't give a shit. I can see that there is a clear trend through here. So now I'll go look it back on the 1 hour, right? And we can see it cuts through all of this. Now, someone will have a cry about this and say, you've done your trend lines wrong, right? But we're looking at the higher time frames because that's what big money trades. They trade the big time frames. We can see here, there's an evening star reversal perfectly above this. Easy. Easy short here. You can see here, Kyle touched the fail swing high before. Boom. Easy. This is just trend line trading. You can see here, it failed to hold above. Simple shit. So the people who say these don't work or they're subjective don't know how to use them properly. Yeah, not attacking anyone, but fuck, that's really simple. Anyone can draw these. I'm just showing you how simple that is. This is on a log scale as well. Oh, you there? I'm not sure if you can hear me. Bring the chat back up. I'm not sure what else I need to cover for you. So, you still all hear me? Can you understand and all the rest of it? Sweet. I can't hear Kyle. So I'll just show you my main BTC chart at the moment. This, to most people, would be too busy, right? This, for most people, would be too busy, but this is my recipe for trading this market inside and out. You can see my trend lines here. Super simple. They're all relative, because this is just like the bottom of the bear market in 2018 that we traded. If you have a look here, which is the drawing tool. So first we've got the symmetrical here playing out, which has now created a potential of a ascending. Very, very similar setup. This is the green 50 MA, that's the 100 MA. This is the first of two golden crosses. This one I'm not too keen on. I want to see the 50 and 100 above this one, all right? If you zoom right out on my chart, it gets very busy, right? But each of these are trend lines here, they matter. Each of them play true. So right now we're in this mess. We zoom in on that one, looks so bad though. Cool. You can see here, nice clean bounce off the Ichimoku Kumo as well. It's usually a pretty easy long when you've got an order block support here along with the Ichimoku Kumo and the 50 MA in this range. It's 30-minute time frame. This would have been a long I would have taken if I wasn't doing the stream with you dudes. All right. Anything else you want me to cover, Kyle? I can't hear you at the moment. On your mic, you may have muted it. I'm not sure. You have you muted. Oh shit, my bad. I don't know how this stuff works. Meeting controls, participants. I'll unmute.
All right. Can you hear me now? Awesome.
Yeah, we do. Cool.
How's my microphone now, guys? A little bit better or worse?
For me, that's better.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know. I bought a new microphone. Obviously, it's terrible. So this is just my laptop microphone. So maybe I'll stick to using that then.
That's what I did. Now I brought like a $150 one. So I'm like, I'm using my laptop at the moment.
Oh God, terrible. So you're still the host at the moment. So if you want to flick it back across to me. All right.
Share. So you should be in control now.
Yep, I'm in control. Thank you, sir. All right, so I'll quickly just do a little bit of a recap of the market of what I'm looking at the moment and just setups right now. So when the market starts to get quite bullish, guys, what you'll start to notice, well, first of all, when we're bearish, it's very choppy like this. See how there's these big wicks out the top and out the bottom of price, and we're sort of going sideways. It just looks disgusting. It's really hard to trade on the lower time frames. If you go down to the hourly, you sort of notice that as well. If we can load through and just see how it's just nasty, it's choppy all over the place like this, right? But when we actually flip and the market becomes bullish, you see that the range actually becomes really tight. So look at this range here. We had this really nice bull flag through here, right? I actually missed this trade, unfortunately. We did look at it a couple of times. I think it was when we were looking at like this actually, but I actually was flying home, so I missed this one, didn't catch it because it was a bit of a mission to get home. But yeah, I missed this trade through here. Obviously caught this one. This was a really nice setup. And so now generally what happens, when you go into a bullish market structure, it looks like this might be forming some sort of an L8 wave structure, which would mean probably come down either to the top of the one, but what would make sense to me is if we bounce off the top of our weekly order block here around this 8,430 level, and then we come up and maybe test this 9K level and close the week somewhere around 9,800. So that's what I'm sort of looking for a play at the moment for the next long. And that would make sense because this is sort of forming a little bit of a double top at the moment, starting to look a little bit bearish. So could easily see it come back this 8,283 level, come back this 8,430 level as well. As you can see, it's quite a key level in the market as well because we've got this area here, this area here, this area here, and that area there. So this level through here is pretty significant. And it's quite recent as well, but also not to rule out that this level through here as well is pretty significant also, because we've got a tag here, we're going to tag here as well, tag here, tag just on the underside of that there as well, also there, and another 2 just there, right? So this could be a really nice long entry here if it fails to hold support at this level here. But if we bounce off this level here, I'll probably get long here for sure, and probably could get stopped out there. So it's a bit of a higher risk trade, but I think the lower risk trade is if it does come back to around this level here, that's where I'll be taking a really strong long. That's a really nice setup that you usually get on altcoins market structures. They go like this with a perfect come back to the top of the one, and they go up for a really big 5th wave up. I'm not really a massive fan of Elliott wave trading, but we do see it pop up a fair bit when the market is really bullish. That's really the only time we actually see it unfold. Looks like a few people chatting in the chat box. Let's see if I can get that up. See what you guys are saying. Well, maybe it's down here. Here we go. Need to hear the order block bit again. Yeah, you can go over again. Obviously, we're going to be going into order blocks and how to run through those really in depth. Obviously, in the 6-week webinar series, that's we spend a whole hour on it. So we'll go over it in a lot more detail there. You also have a chance to. Also, you can go through and watch my YouTubes as well. I sort of go over a little bit in there as well. And you also be able to watch the recording of this if you want to as well. I'll briefly touch on it. But if you want to really learn how to spot them and draw them into your in depth, definitely jump onto the online course. We're going to do a lot of time on that, especially over the first week. So that's what I'm looking for in the market at the moment. Higher time frames. I think the weekly is looking absolutely gorgeous for the bulls right now. I was talking about shooting star and morning star reversal candles, right? So this is setting up to be a really nice morning star reversal, right? So we come down, obviously really aggressive red candle, right? This is a perfect bottom doji here. Obviously nothing really happened last week, just went sideways, and now we're pushing up. So what I want to see is to close above this level here. Actually just going to duplicate this and open up a new chart so I can show you guys what I mean. All right, so go back to the weekly here. All right, so what I want to see is this, so on the weekly to close above this level here. I think it's really important for this next weekly to close above this level here. The other thing as well is it could come down and close like this, right? So we get a red doji, a green doji with big wicks to the upside, right? And if that happens, I would expect this to be a really big thick candle like this in the next week after that, right? Because that is a pattern that Bitcoin likes to form a lot on all time frames. A big falling candle followed by a double doji bottom, the red one on the left and the green one on the right. And then the next green candle is really strong and aggressive. This looks like it's getting a little bit more aggressive at the moment, and I'm thinking that more likely we're going to go with the higher probability of playing out is probably going to end up closing above this level here. I'm not sure if we'll get above 9K for the weekly close, but if it does, it's even more bullish. But I'm really looking for the bulls to fight to win the battle. So Monday morning, there should be some fireworks for a bit of a battle for this 8,800 level, I think, for sure. So make sure you guys have your eyes peeled for that. And if it does close above that level, I think it'll be, I'll be looking for bullish setup. So I won't long it straight away because we close above that. I will be looking for the next bullish setup, and I'll be waiting, giving the rest of the week a fair bit of leeway for that to play out for upside and reclaim this 9,500 level. I think once we get above that 9,500 level, there's not really that much resistance above that, and then it really will be on to taking out the levels through here, which is at 11,600 level. And then the next one is just here, which is at 11,380, 11,400 level. There's not really much resistance above there. So I think once it takes out, this bottom market structure through here, which, the low is really defined by that level there, right? Once we take that out and get above this 9,500 level, I think it's going to get quite aggressive to the upside through here. So that's what I'm looking at the moment. And then, yeah, obviously any other setups that I get as well, I'll be posting in the Discord. So, yeah, make sure you're paying attention in there. I also put a lot of stuff up on the Facebook group as well. But what I'm really excited about is obviously in the next couple of weeks, we're going to be going through, starting October 22nd, we're going to be going through the 6-week market mastery course, which this is probably going to be our most in-depth course because we've got so much more time to go over. We've got a whole 6 weeks, so we can be going over through trades. Like, we're going to be talking twice a week with you guys. We're going to have a Discord group on the Troy's Bear Bull Discord. We're going to have a chat group in there, so we're going to be able to give you guys tasks at the end of each session, and then everybody sort of post up their homework in there, and we can mark them and correct them for you, give you guys a little bit of feedback going backwards and forwards, and we can be looking at trades going over the whole 6 weeks. We've got so much more time we can spend with everyone so we can see how trades play out. That's one of the, a little bit of the pitfalls of, the 2-day session. If it's on the weekend, there's not really that much action in the market. You can trade the 5-minute time frame, but, that's not really that great because typically the best setups I find are usually on the daily and the 4-hour, right? So, it's going to be really good because we can spend a bit of time with you guys over the 6 weeks, and we can watch trade setups actually play out and see how everything unfolds, using the techniques that we're actually going to be going over and teaching you guys. So basically what we're going to be covering in week 1, we're going to be going over the real basics. So reading candlestick patterns, trend lines. We're going to be going through identifying support and resistance levels. So all that stuff that you just saw Troy go over just then, we're going to be going through that. We're going to be going over double bottoms and double tops, and then basic pattern formations. Week 2 is more about institutional order blocks and supply and demand zones. We're going to be going a lot heavier into our horizontal trading strategies, which I touched on just before. We're also going to touch on Fibonacci and a little bit on Elliott waves as well. Week 3, we're going to be going through the emotional market cycle, how to identify where you are in the emotional market cycle and where the market is actually going through in the emotional market cycle. So you can use that to take profit before you get wrecked, and also to structure your trades to whether be a bit more bullish or a bit more cautious, and just to keep yourself in check, that you're not letting your emotions run your trading and you're actually in control and trading due to and understanding the statistics rather than just FOMOing in or selling out of fear, right? That is the best way to lose money. So we're going to cover off that. We're going to go through Ichimoku Cloud. We're going to go through obviously moving averages, which Troy covered off a little bit before. We're going to go over one of my favorite strategies as well, which is the pivot strategy, right? And then in week 4, we're going to start digging into a little bit more into BitMEX and how BitMEX works and functions as an exchange and how to use it, how to use leverage, and how to set up trades on BitMEX, how to set up take profits and stop losses at the same time, and all that sort of stuff, which types of stop losses and all those sort of things that you'll be using. We're going to be going through Wyckoff theory, which is one of the things I think is probably the most important to learn in this market at the moment, to understand how trading ranges work, how accumulation patterns work, how distribution patterns work, how reaccumulation patterns work as well. We're going to be going through that, and we're going to be talking about how me and Troy were both really aware that the 3K range was very likely to be a Wyckoff accumulation pattern, and it played out pretty much perfectly to what we picked, which is Wyckoff accumulation schematic 2. And yeah, it was really funny that we were looking at that, because if you go back and have a look at Bitcoin's bull market in 2014-15, it's actually perfect Wyckoff accumulation pattern 1, pretty much to a T. So yeah, I still always have a little bit of a laugh about that. And Wyckoff strategy is all about understanding how the market makers use the price action to influence the fear and greed in the more amateur traders to get them to take trades against the direction that they actually want to go in, right? So yeah, that's a really fascinating part of my trading strategy, and I really love it. So we're going to spend a bit of time on that as well. Week 5, we're going to go over me and Troy's actual entry and exit triggers, what we look for to when we enter into market, what we look for when we're exiting into a market. And it's great because we're going to get actual live examples right over the 6 weeks, which is one of the things I really love about this program. Because we're actually going to be doing education blocks. So every week we're going to be doing, in every session, we're going to be doing education at the start, then we're going to be doing a market review, and then any trades me and Troy have taken in the last couple of days, or any trades we're currently in, or any trade setups we're looking at as well. So you guys are going to get a really in-depth view into both mine and Troy's mind and what we're looking at in the market twice a week, which I think is pretty invaluable. I mean, me and Troy always laugh about it. Like, if we had this sort of help that we're giving to you guys, and just literally serving everything that we've spent thousands and thousands and thousands of hours and thousands of dollars as well, tens of thousands of dollars to learn this stuff. We're giving it to you guys for $330, pretty ridiculous, and we're holding your hand the whole way through this. 6 weeks to help you guys become better traders. We had this stuff back in 2017 when the market was going absolutely crazy. If we see anything like that moving into the end of this year, it's going to be pretty out of control. So we would have made a shitload more money, is basically what we were saying. So week 6, we're going to be doing a little bit more advanced stuff on BitMEX. Obviously, we're going to be looking at hedging strategies. We're going to be looking at futures trading on BitMEX as well, and how to set up your trades and everything like that, how to stay in a trade for a longer period of time. If you don't want to take profit, you can still also make profit trading against yourself and secure your profits. So yeah, it's a bit more of an advanced strategy. We'll also be looking at shorting altcoins because, let's face the facts, the altcoins generally rally for about a month to 2 months, and then they spend, anywhere from a year to 2 years pulling back. So the real alt market is playing the downside of altcoins, but most people just completely ignore that because they just get excited about great candles, right? Where if you can understand how to short altcoins, it is actually a really easy strategy. Just support and resistance flips, which I sort of covered on a little bit before, but you get a lot of those bear flag setups, and you can just play those out for 90% of the time, and then when it finally does flip, they go through a wick-off accumulation pattern, and then they finally break the upside of that trading range, and then they break out, and then you just flip your strategy. So we're going to go through all that sort of stuff, guys. It is a lot of material. It's really in-depth. It's designed to take you guys from the very most basic level all the way up to being quite an advanced trader in a 6-week period of time. It probably isn't going to, if you're really new, it's probably not going to sink in straight away. But the really thing that I think is amazing about this course is we're going to have everything fully recorded for you guys. So you're going to be able to rewatch it over and over and over and over again through the Altcoin Mastery website portal. So you're going to be able to log on whenever you want to, and you're going to be able to rewatch all of these webinars and go over it again. So if there was a little thing that you didn't pick up that I said or Troy said, and you're a little bit confused about it again, you can just log back in and rewatch the webinar, scroll to the point that we're talking about that exact spot, that exact topic, and you can rewatch it and really learn. That is how I learned. So I wanted to create a situation where people could be, in the best learning capacity that I could be in, is to be able to rewatch things over and over and over multiple times and apply them to my strategy, and then have somebody give me feedback on what I actually have done. So that's what we've done to basically set this training up, because what we want to do is we want to get you guys to turn into weapons, so we don't have to hold your hand so much in the Discord. And me and Troy always laugh about it as the ultimate key is to get all your students up to such a good level that they start sending you trades, and you don't have to you have to watch the market all day anymore, and you just look at your Discord group and everyone's sending you trades and you're like, okay, that's a pretty good trade, I'm going to take that. So that's our end goal for this anyway. So maybe we're lazy, I don't know. But how it's going to work, there's 2 sessions per week. All right, we're going to do 1 hour to 1.5 hours per session. Let's face it, we're probably all going to go for an hour and a half because we probably talk for way too long. And they start at 7:30 p.m., right? And they're going to be every Tuesday and every Thursday night, every day of the week, obviously. So every Tuesday and every Thursday night, and obviously consecutive weeks. You're not going to miss a week or anything like that. And after each session, there'll be little practices for you guys to complete and upload them into the Discord chat group, and then we'll all get feedback and like that as well. So yeah, it's going to be an awesome journey. I hope you guys can all join us on that journey. And yeah, it's going to be a really fun time. We've had such a good time, meeting everybody around over the last couple of months, traveling around Australia and obviously in Bali, and see you guys making profit off trades. I think that was the best part in Bali. We're sitting around at dinner, and some of the guys are actually making profitable trades that we were talking through while we're at the table. And I think that is probably the best way that you can learn, when you're with somebody that can sort of hold your hand, like, okay, this is what we're doing, this is what I'm looking at, and they can choose to take the trade or not. And yeah, then when it plays out, obviously that reinforces the learning so much more. So yeah. If you want to enroll, guys, go to altcoinmastery.io and yeah, go through the links. So I'll give you a quick look at that right now. This is the Altcoin Mastery website, and basically just has a little bit of info about the 6 weeks course. So you can go in there, just go to view courses. We do have obviously information about our boot camps and stuff like that will be getting uploaded soon. But we're still working through all that with our developers at the moment. And we will let you guys know when our next getaway course is. We're looking around maybe the Easter period next year. So just a little mic drop in there for you guys that are interested in coming away with us again. So yeah, and then just go through here and just click add to cart, or you can pay straight away through PayPal, right? And then you can just go through that. So you do have the option to pay through credit card, PayPal, or through Bitcoin as well. So click on next, proceed to proceed to checkout, and then you fill out your details, and you can choose to pay by Stripe, which is obviously credit card, Bitcoin, or by PayPal. So that's pretty much it, guys. Thanks a lot for tuning in. Can drop off to a few questions now. So if anyone has any questions about the course or about about charting as well, drop them in, and me and Troy can answer your questions. I might just unmute Troy. Oh, you're already unmuted. Awesome. So yeah, anyone has any questions, drop them in the chat, and we can have a quick chat about it. Thank you very much for logging in, guys. We're also going to run another webinar on Sunday night, 8 p.m. as well. We'll try and keep that one to an hour, run over time a little bit, but yeah, 12 minutes. Hopefully you guys got a lot of value. I think the stuff that Troy shared with you guys before is completely unbelievable. And you know, so you guys are very, very lucky to have him as a leader of your Discord, that's for sure. So I just want to say thanks for Troy jumping on and sharing that content. It was great.
Yeah, dude, thank you.
Awesome, guys. So if no one has any questions, I'm going to wrap this up now, and we'll chat to you all on Facebook and in the Discords. Chat soon. Neil, the webinar started at 8 p.m. When does the next course start? Okay. The next course starts on October 22nd. So make sure you sign up before then so you can get in from the start, because we want to close it off. So yeah, make sure you're getting in and you're all set up from October 22nd. The next getaway that we're going to run for the weekly bootcamp getaway is probably going to be in March or April next year, I would say. Around the Easter period is what we're looking at for the next Bali getaway. Or we might end up in we might end up in Vietnam, because Tien wants to take us to Vietnam. Okay. And yeah, if you're asking when the next free webinar is, we're actually going to do one 8 p.m. on Sunday night, but we'll upload information about how to register and sign up for that. So we'll do the same sort of setup as this again. We'll cover off a couple of different topics as well, because yeah, we're not obviously all about just making dollar. We want to add massive value to you guys, but also obviously we want as many people to sign up to our course as possible, so we can get paid as well for the effort that we put in, which I think is pretty fair, because we work pretty hard for you guys. Yes, you can rewatch any of the lessons. So it will be recorded. So for example, I'm recording this session right now. After that, I'm going to upload it to Dropbox, and then it will be available. I'm going to get my developers on the website, which is altcoinmastery.io, and they're working on a portal at the moment. So at the end of every session, they'll have it uploaded by the next day, and you'll be in the system. You guys will be able to log in to Altcoin Mastery, and you'll be able to watch it in there. Dang, Vietnam, yes. I just want a place that has an epic villa that has 20 rooms. That's all I'm looking for.
And Bali was amazing.
Yeah, it was pretty epic. All right, we've got a question in Q&A. Oops, I'm in Perth. Forgot about daylight savings. We'll see you on Sunday. Okay, too easy. Thanks a lot, Tony. We'll see you on Sunday then. Bali we have done before. That is true. It looks like Vietnam it is. I don't know. I'm campaigning for Fiji, but Ali doesn't want to do Fiji. And we definitely want to get him along to the next boot camp, because that guy is an absolute weapon trader. Ali is the guy, obviously you guys probably know him from Discord, but he is the guy that developed the Nexus indicator, which is pretty fucking weaponry, to be honest. So yeah. All right, guys, no more questions. Troy, did you want to say anything else?
That's pretty much it, dude. Just we'll do Sunday. Redo this again on Sunday.
Okay, too easy, guys. Thanks a lot for checking in, guys, and listening on the webinar. Hopefully we added a lot of value. We'll see you all again on Sunday. Bye.
Easy, man. Thank you.